Hi everybody. Sorry I can't be there today. Just give you a little information. I know that I haven't been in contact a lot over the last week. I was helping a neighbor and fell off the top of two big round bales. Um, and when I hit the ground, I suffered what they call a Liz Frank injury. If you're interested in knowing more about that or just like interesting medical stuff, it's spelled Lisfranc. At the very least, what has happened now is I now have three screws in my foot, on my right foot, and I'm still in a fair amount of pain. I just had those put in on Friday, and I'm right now not able to get into the office. I should be back though after spring break. So that leaves us having to do some of this stuff via video and chat. So today what I wanted you to do was to read the first couple chapters in the Kronk book, and I'm going to supplement that with these videos that I'm going to post for class so that you can learn how to do, so you can do some of this data management and recoding. I apologize for the sound in the background. That is my pellet stove running. That's my heat source, so hopefully that doesn't interfere too much. Now, you'll remember that at the beginning of the first week, we did some statistics and SPSS refresher exercises, and I alluded to, and you discovered that many of the estimates that we generated were biased because of problems with the data. Not necessarily problems. In some cases, we had missing data. In other cases, we had categories of responses that were coded in ways that would artificially bias the estimate of the mean and the standard deviation and those things upward, away from the true population mean. And so today I'm going to show you how we deal with some of those things with data management and data recoding. So first, if you'll get the practice data set, go ahead and get that opened up on your screen. This is the GLOP data set that we've been using. We'll talk about how to deal with some of these data management problems and recoding issues that we always encounter whenever we're using survey methods, but in a lot of cases, whenever we use a lot of methods, we have to do some of this kind of recoding and data cleaning and data management. Let me first tell you I have two cardinal rules about data and data management. The first one is whenever you get your data set, you never work with the original data set. You should always make a copy of it and put that copy somewhere where you don't ever manipulate the data or analyze the data or anything in that data set. Always have a copy that you work on. That way, if anything goes wrong in the data management and recoding part, if you need to recover the original data set, it's always there for you to get access to. Okay. Now, the second cardinal rule I'll talk about in a moment, but remember that we have a variety of types of variables in the data set. That is, they're variables that are measured at different levels. So, for instance, our sex variable takes the values of 1 and 2, and it's intended to be a nominal variable. It's not exactly a nominal variable right now, but that's its intention. Things like region and race, also nominal variables. Income, on the other hand, would be something that's more akin to a ratio variable because of the values that it takes. Those values are meaningful in some way, and for the most part, we would treat that as a ratio variable. The calm variable is another ratio variable that we have in the data set. And in a lot of cases, we will take things like this ordinal variable. Many of the variables that we have in here are ordinal variables that measure agreement or disagreement on some kind of scale, and we tend to treat those as ratio variables. Okay. The first thing that I want to show you is the sex variable. Whenever we measure sex, we intend that to be a nominal variable, but you'll notice here that male takes the value of 1 and female takes the value of 2. But remember, a nominal variable is supposed to identify some characteristic or group membership or something along those lines. In its current form, the way numbers work, of course, is that 2 is twice as much as 1, which would imply in an analysis that female is twice as much as male. And while it may be the case that women are twice as good as men or something like that, for our analysis, that would be entirely inappropriate. So what I'm going to show you how to do with this variable and another variable is I'm going to show you how to go through the process of creating an actual dummy variable or a real nominal variable out of this. Okay, and that brings me to my second cardinal rule, which is when you recode. Excuse me while I get that off the screen. When you do any recoding, we're going to do a lot of dealing with this transform set of actions within SPSS. And you'll notice that it has compute variable, count variables, recode into same variables, recode into different variables, and a variety of other things in here. The second cardinal rule that I have is that you never use recode into same variables. If you do this, it will literally write over the data that currently exists for that variable. You should always use the recode into different variables. What this does is it creates a new variable, but that new variable is based on some variable that currently exists in the data set. Okay. So right now what we want to do is we want to recode into new variables. Now, when you get this screen up, you will see that it's asking for input-output variable. Since we're going to recode sex, we'll take sex and we'll put it over here. Now, I have to name the new variable, so I'm going to call this variable male. In order to do this, you need to put the output variable name in and then hit change. Notice then, in this box, it says we're going to take the sex variable and we're going to create another variable based on the sex variable, but we're going to call it male. Now we need to deal with the values. And if you have trouble remembering the values that the variables take, remember that you can always go to the variable view and look at the values that it takes. In this case, male is a 1 and female is 2. So we're going to recode into different variables. Again, I'm going to put sex in there, type in male, change, and then old and new value. Now, on this side of the screen, on the left side of this new window, you'll see that it says this all has to do with the old value, that is the variable for the original variable, the value for the original variable, and then on the right-hand side is everything about the value for the new variable. So I'm going to say if the old value is a 1, then I want the value of the new variable to be a 1, and I will add that. And if the old value is a 2, I want the new value to be a 0. Notice that what this does is it makes men take the value of 1 and women the value of 0 in this new variable. I'm going to hit continue, and then I'm going to hit OK. And let me just show you what has happened here. So I'm going to go to descriptive statistics and then frequencies. And I'm going to put sex in here, and I'm going to put our new variable male in. And it will show it to you at the bottom of the list there. So you'll notice that for the sex variable, I had 134 men, 149 women. Here, I have 149 zeros, which are women, and 134 ones, which are men. you should always do this checking, run these frequency tables after you've recoded something, just to make sure that the variable and the recoding has worked the way you wanted to. And what you want to think about for this new variable is that if it takes a 1, it's the presence of the characteristic or group membership, so in this case, being a male. And if it takes the value of 0, then it's the absence of that characteristic or group membership. In this case, it would imply being a female. Now, one thing that I want to show you too is that once you've recoded that, that new variable will appear on the variable view of your data set. Here it's at number 17, and it's important to go in here into the values and go ahead and get those values in there. So a 1 now is male, and we'll add that, and a 0 now is female. We'll go ahead and add that. That way, when you run a descriptive statistics on this variable, I'll just run that same thing again. You'll see that instead of the 1s and 0s that we got the first time we ran the descriptive statistics for male, instead of just getting a 1 and a 0, we'll now get male and female. So we'll know what those values mean. Okay, so that is the simplest case of creating a dummy variable.